Okay, hi everyone. Welcome. Now this session is all about how to crack IIFT, right? So let's see what we'll be covering in this session, right? So first of all, we'll be covering our exam pattern cutoffs, right? And exam strategy and what to do next, right? So these are the major three things that we'll be focusing on, right? Because these are different exam altogether. So it's not the same as CAT or it's not the same as SNAP. It's not a speed based exam, it's not a very slow based exam, right? So we have to have a strategy for this because this also has a sectional cutoff, right? So let's see the exam pattern first. So it's a 2 hours duration exam, 110 questions, and it has differential mark system, which means you have some questions with 3 marks and some question with 1.5 marks. So QA, LRDI, VARC, these are 3 marks and 1.5 marks for general awareness, right? So this is the general breakup of this section, right? A general way of the exam is being conducted is 2 hours and number of questions is 110. Now let's see this different cutoffs that we have for IIFT, right? For different categories that we have. So first of all, the section that we have is verbal ability and reading comprehension. The second section is cons. Third section, logical reasoning and DI. And fourth section is general awareness. Now, remember one thing. Read the instruction very carefully because sometime, like in 2018, if I remember right, they had broken this logical reasoning and DI into two different sections, because of which there was a confusion between the students, and some of the students were not able to understand. Because generally when we go in a section, we know that okay, we have verbal ability, we have cons, we have LRDI, we have general awareness, but that time LRDI was a different two sections, because of which what happened is people were not able to clear the sectional cutoff, because if they had solved a question on LR, they thought that they have cleared the sectional cutoff of LRDI, right? So you should first read the instructions very carefully, because it is not a very standardized as we have for CAT or we have for SNAP or we have for NMAT, right? So it might differ. So you read these sections very carefully. Then if you're talking about the IIFT cutoffs, right, for 2022, as an example, so general cutoff overall was 52.75, and you can see OBC, SC, ST, and PWD, different cutoffs for them. But the final cutoff which we had was general was 42.6, right? And the other categories was 35.1 as well as 27.6, depending on which category you belong to. You can just check the cutoff for that, right? Plus, we also had this sectional cutoff for different sections. Like we had general awareness, the cutoff was 4.5 for general. I'm just talking about general. The other you can just have a look. 4.5 means what? You have to get 3 questions correct, which was 1.5 marks each. So that was 4.5. Then VARC 11, which is nearly about 4 questions because it has 3 marks each. DLR about 5 questions, and QA around, you can say around 3 questions, right? Right. So that is sectional cutoff. But then you have to also clear the overall cutoff that we have, right? So you should be very clear with the idea of clearing the sectional cutoff first and then clearing the overall cutoff, because it might happen that you clear the overall sectional cut or clear the overall cutoff and you fail in one of the sections, right? Because we have got a habit right now for SNAP or other exams, like if you're good in some section, you score big in that, right? But in that case, what we do is we sometimes neglect the other section. But in this case, if you neglect, you don't clear the sectional cutoff and you don't get a call, right? Now let's see the section wise analysis of different section that we have, and you'll get understanding of what to prepare and how to prepare, right? So line graph, we had 4 questions. Bar graph, we had 4 questions. Table, 4 questions. Pie chart plus table, 4 questions. Circular arrangement was 4. Tournaments, which you know that it's a question that generally comes in CAD. We had 4 questions. That scheduling, 2 questions. Linear arrangement 1. Coding decoding was 1. Puzzle was 2. And if you see the difficulty level, you have around, you can say, 8 to 10 questions which was easy, right? And the remaining, you can say 8 to 10 was medium, and then again 8 to 10 was difficult. So the breakup was 16 14, 16 DI, 14 LR. Overall 30 questions were there, right? And you can say about the breakup of the difficulty level, you can again say it was 7 8 questions easy, 10 questions medium, and then you can say 10 questions was difficult. So again, it's easy and medium and difficult is a subjective question, right? Depending upon how a person does in certain uh, kind of questions, right? So for me, it could be that linear arrangement is bad for me, and for you, it could be a good set for you to be solved, right? So again, but overall, if you feel, you will be having a mix of easy, medium, and difficult kind of questions, right? Now, then, if you see the analysis of reading comprehension. Now, compared to Snap, compared to CAT, they really have long RCs, right? So 800 words we have 2 RCs, and 500 words we have 2 RCs. Now, one RC was very easy in last year paper, which was about plastic packaging, right? And then again we have some easy questions, and then mostly it was either medium, and then it was difficult, right? So yes, be ready to read long passages, right? Which I don't think right now you have the habit, but for people who like reading, this could come out to be a very good section for you, because if you are having a habit of reading, then in that case 800 words would not be that much matter for you in that case, right? So, moving on, in verbal ability, we have questions like crosswords, synonyms, match the synonyms, identify the synonyms, root word, identify grammatical sentences. Okay? Then you have one word substitution, jumble paragraph. So you can see question based on grammar, vocab, and you have jumble paragraph, right? So based on all of these, this section could turn out to be a scoring one, because last year this turned out to be an easier section, because if you see the breakup here, you have 6 to 8 and 8 3 11 11 1 12 questions which are easy. Generally doesn't happen in IFT, right? So this section proved out to be an easier one compared to the other sections. And if you see, you don't have any difficult question in this. You have difficulty in RC, you have difficulty in LRDI, you have difficulty in cons, but in this, you didn't had any difficult question. So this could have proved to be a, a best section for people who are good in verbal, right? So in that case, this could have proved to be a game changer. They could have got the more number of questions and got cleared overall cutoff, right? Then if you see cons, moving to cons, again, as others as well as other exams, arithmetic proved to be one of the game changers again here, right? So you can see the number of questions, 11 questions on arithmetic. That's a big number, right? 11 questions on arithmetic. Geometry, you had 5 questions. Algebra, we had 4 questions. Modern maths, 4 questions, and numbers, 1 question, right? And if you see overall, you had 12 easy questions in this and 10 medium. So again, arithmetic, so it is more on lines on Snap, you can see, right? Arithmetic and modern maths given more priority in this, right? Algebra is given a lower priority in this case, right? So numbers given a lower priority. So you can just think about doing 2 chapters, PNC and probability, and securing these 4 questions, right? And in that also you can see difficult question was not there, right? So arithmetic and modern maths, by now you should understand that arithmetic is the most important topic in your maths, in your cons section, in any B school exams, because if you see cat, if you see Snap, if you see nmat, if you see any exam, right? So all of these exams are focusing now more towards arithmetic than initially it used to be algebra and numbers. But algebra and numbers now given a very low priority compared to arithmetic, right? Yes, so that is there. And then moving on, if you move to how you should be attempting the question, or what should be your time management in the exam. So I would give this as a strategy for you. GK, you should not invest more than 5 to 7 minutes. Why? Because either you know or you don't know. You cannot solve there. So put your 5 to 10 minutes in that. Verbal ability, put nearly 15 minutes. Reading comprehension, yes, 20 to 25 minutes, because you have long RCs in that. Then a DI, 15 to 20 minutes. Logical reasoning, 15 to 20 minutes. Cons, 25 minutes around, and keep some buffer time, so that once you start with your mock, once you start with your exam, and you have put 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 20 minutes in some sections, you know how are the other questions in that section, right? So if you have done a small scan of the questions, if you're doing a scan of the questions to solve some questions, right, you know how this paper and how this section comes out to be. Like, for example, the logical reasoning this time would be an easier one, or let's say verbal ability is an easier one. So in that case, you can put this buffer time in that, because first thing first is you have to clear your sectional cutoff, then comes the overall cutoff. So even if you clear the overall cutoff and if you don't clear the sectional cutoff, it is of no use. So you have to clear all the sectional cutoff for each of the sections, right? So what should be your strategy now? What should be you do now? First of all, uh, current affairs, do for 1 year at least, right? How will you do now? For that, what you can do is, Suvam sir has shared the blogs with you. You can go on the Prepzone blog and you can just go through the different blogs that it has been shared over there, right? So you can see the general awareness. You can see a different kind of question that has been put, which is very specific to IIFT. And also the different websites are there. You can directly go and uh, do some sets. So you have this MCQ sets of general awareness on different websites. What you can do is just solve one set today of 20 questions. Tomorrow, those 20 questions plus the next 20 questions. Then next day, again 20, 20, and then again 20. Now, what you're doing is, let's say for 1 year, there will not be that many events. It's a finite set. It's a finite set, right? So general awareness is a finite thing and static is an infinite thing, right? So what you can do is 1 year MCQs questions, you do one day 20 questions, again next day 20, and then this 20 revision and plus the next 20 new set. In that case, what you do is you register those questions in your mind, right? You know that, okay, fine, if this question comes, what is the option? Even if you're not aware of some particular event, but if you have gone through those answers again and again, so that gets registered in your mind, right? So when you see that question in your exam, you know that, okay, fine, I had read about this, right? So that is for awareness, right? Current affairs, you can say. For static, what you can do is you can go through a book which is known as Lucent, right? And this will help you out not only in this exam but other exam as well, your interviews as well, right? uh, so you know that one of the major sections of the interview is general awareness and general knowledge, so that will help you even if you're giving any public sector exam. In that case also, the static GK will be helpful, and even if you're giving ZAT, GK is required, right? So buy this book which is known as Lucent, and you can go through the static GK from there, right? So again, don't put so much emphasis on this. Just go through those. I think you'll be able to clear at least 3 to 4 questions, even from a general awareness question, current affairs, and you should be good enough to clear the sectional cutoff in that case, right? So don't be scared of the general awareness. The next is, first try to clear the sectional cutoff and then play the paper, right? Play the paper means what? First clear the sectional cutoff and then look for which section this time is easy. See, remember, from last 5 or 10 years, one of the section is always easy to medium, and some of the sections are very difficult. So and trust me, it's not general awareness, right? So you cannot take into consideration general awareness in this section, in this play the paper kind. Why? Because general awareness, if you know, it's easy. If you don't know, it's difficult. That's it. For other sections, yes, it might be easy, it might be difficult. So you should be well aware of all the sections, and you should be well aware of all the topics that are there, right? So as I generally say, for some exams you have to look at you can say width, not the depth, right? So this is one of the exams where you have to look at the width, right? You have to look at the width, and plus in some cases depth also. Like for example, snap, you have to look at the width, right? In cat, you have to look at mostly the depth. Zat, depth, right? This is about width plus the depth, right? And whichever section is easy, and because while clearing the sectional cutoff, and when you have given the different time, right, different time to different section, so you know which section is easy, and then whatever buffer time that you have of 20, 25 minutes or 30 minutes, put in that section and clear the overall cutoff, right? Last, and which is a very important thing, is at least 5 mock papers, right? And past 5-year paper. Very important. Past paper you should solve to understand how they generally make the questions, right? Every exam is different. Every exam pattern is different. And every examiner who is making the paper, right, is thinking different way, right? Like snap people, they think about you should be knowing all the logic but not the depth. Okay, even speed based exam, it is a speed based exam. If you're looking at that exam, they look at what is the depth of the person, right? You put 7-8 minutes time, it's okay, but you solve one question. So every exam is different, so you have to go through the past papers and understand how they are making the paper. Okay, and mock to set up your strategy. The strategy I gave will work for some people, will not work for some people, right? So you have to come up with your own strategy after you give 1 or 2 mocks, right? So please make your own strategy. Once you go through, once you give 1 mock, then you understand, okay, where I am lacking, and the next mock you can just change your strategy and just fine tune your approach to the questions, right? That is there. So yes, so that's all about these things. Now important announcement is that we are starting with cat 23 batch 1, right, starting from mid December. So registration have been opened on the website. If your any one of the friends are interested, you can let them know about our course, right? And we also are starting with a GDPI flagship batch, right? So Prepzone, one of the USP is GDPI, right? So we have a very good success rate in clearing the GDPI, right? So the batch is starting with December 7. Though you might be clearing any of the exam, but you will require GDPI. Say it, even a normal exam like a normal college like SIIM or SIMS or any college, you will require GDPI for that, right? So clearing the written exam is one thing, and then clearing the GDPI is one thing, right? Because for written exam, 100 people are giving the exam, and out of that, let's say only 10 or 15 people are serious. But these serious people clear the written exam, and then comes the next part, which is clearing the GDPI. Now, here, when you are reaching the GDPI part, there you are meeting the serious guys. That means again clearing from here, because colleges like Symbiosis, they give you 1:8 ratio call, right? So one conversion out of the 8 calls that they're given. If you talk about NMAT, you're talking about 1:7. If you're talking about IIMs, you're talking about 1:4. So this is required, right? So if the batch is starting on December 7, so be ready for that. Plus we have ZAT decision making course, plus the other management exam courses are there, right? So which is live on the website. So if you are interested or any of your friends are interested, just let them know that we are starting with the batches, right? And yes, so that's it, guys. All the best for your exam, right? And if you have any questions, you can drop a message in the group, right? Thanks a lot, guys.